All right. Speaking of the incoming administration, you before you came to Washington and CNN, were a reporter covering the Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah,
now we have the governor of Indiana
sure.
coming in as the vice president of the United States. Or is he, in fact, going to be the president of the United States? What do you see as Mike Pence's role in this administration?
Well, it seems highly fluid. It seems that there's room to grow, shall we say? My indications based on everything. Yeah, look at this, right? This is not. What's interesting about Donald Trump is that he's not kind of your classic politician because he hasn't had long-standing relationships. A lot of guys when they come up, look at Obama and Axelrod, for instance. There's years and years of relationships that are built into that you take with you to the White House, trusted advisors. What's interesting about Pence is that, and the rest of these people who campaign with Trump is that these were new relationships that had to be developed. Some of these relationships, like Kellyanne Conway, were people who were Cruz supporters who came around to Trump, so who were actively fighting him, and then became
Right.
some of his most trusted advisors. To get to your question, Pence came in, and I think he became one of his most trusted advisors. There was a critical moment after that, the 2005 comments from Trump, where he talked about grabbing women by their
Yeah.
right, and this came out, and Pence, it looked like he might drop from the ticket. All
We
the
remember
reporting,
that. Yeah. He
right,
was
the
right.
reporting we had was that Karen Pence, the incoming VP First Lady, Second Lady, was incredibly angry about this, and not surprisingly, and that weekend was crucial in whether Pence would stay on the ticket or not, and he stuck by him, of course, stayed on the ticket. Now he's going to the White House. Chris Christie disappeared. So when they did win the White House, Trump took the transition from Chris Christie
Yeah.
and gave it to Pence.
Right.
So I think it's a constantly growing relationship. It's hard to say, it's hard to say that things are settled at this point, but it's hugely important, though.
But
Say that.
the appearance is that Trump now has come to a point where he trusts Pence and that Pence is taking on more and will be taking on more and
Yes.
more responsibilities.
He's going to have a really fascinating role. A lot of people have been kind of talking about him, comparing him to Cheney, for instance. He's going to have an office in the Capitol, a House side office in the Capitol. There's also the Vice President's office in the Senate, of course, where he's the technical president of the Senate. He already is having tons of meetings over there. He's lobbying folks. He's having one-on-one meetings. If Trump is the Twitter club, all right, bludgeoning folks on an issue. Pence is the gentler, more inside Washington, classical. Okay, let's sit down and talk about this. No staff in the room. You and me, friends, colleagues.
But it also seems that, Trump is just like doing his thing, meeting with anybody he wants to, not really getting substantively into like these discussions. For example, when it came down to meeting with the congressional caucus to talk about how they were going to repeal and whatever to
Right.
Obamacare, it was Mike Pence who was there, right, doing the hard
Right.
work,
Right.
not a Donald Trump, which shows that he could be very much like a powerful Cheney kind of vice president. Do you believe that?
I think there's going to be a lot of power there. I do. If you asked me as the guy who was covering Mike Pence as governor, whether Mike Pence would be an operations man, kind of leading the charge on details, as governor, nobody would have told you that. But in this situation, I think that's absolutely the case. He is the lobbyist. He is the chief lobbyist for the administration in Congress. He has those standing relationships. He works well with them. He's meeting with them constantly. I suspect that's where you're going to get the best information, the most consistent information. To the extent we do get information, I think that's going to be the most consistent information that we get coming out of him as opposed to Trump.